So with the strikes on Doha, on Qatar, you have Israel coming out and actually defying Trump, right? Trump comes out and says, oh, we feel badly about those strikes. We feel badly, and that won't happen again. Netanyahu comes back out and says, no, we're going to kill whoever, wherever we want to, whenever we want, making us look incredibly weak and really, for me personally, solidifying my opinion that we are witnessing the weakest and worst American president in our history and the worst presidential term in American history. We just thought we saw that with Biden, and I've never seen an American president look subservient and weak, right? Especially not to a country that's out here committing war crimes and landing squarely on the wrong side of history, decision after decision, right? It's embarrassing, it's pathetic. And as an American, we should all be repulsed and disgusted with Trump at this moment, no matter what side of the imaginary American spectrum that you're on politically. The Israeli government continues to fly out American politicians. You had Rubio coming out, putting his Yamaha hat on and kissing the wall, as they always do in the media coverage and what's projected and shown to us. It was a large amount of symbolism in this front page cover photograph of Rubio traveling to Israel to visit the wall. And you have him, the head down and Huckabee's behind him, I think, head down, touching the wall. And then you have big Netanyahu standing at the front closest to the camera in focus, hand up against the wall and the strongest in the image. The imagery is clear. We bring you over to our country and I'm in charge, right? So much to the point that we'll make you look weak in a photograph, right? That's a crazy thing in of itself. The fact that Rubio and Huckabee allowed themselves to be in a photograph that made them look weak like that. The typical way that these things go is world leaders and people in power don't want to be photographed in any way that makes them look weaker, not equal to each other. That's why they put short people on stools to get pictures taken. We basically, the genocide continues, the famine continues. We have the largest ever flotilla about to make landfall in Gaza for the first time ever. Israel, however, though, has come through par for the course, attacked the flotilla twice, levied all types of threats against them that they'll be arrested and jailed as terrorists in terrorist jails. So, but really, that flotilla has captured the moment here and has not allowed the media cycle to distract from the point, and it's right on time. We have the UN. That's the other thing. So the United Nations finally, what was it? A UN Committee on Genocide. Hold on a second. Let's go see here. So here we go. An independent United Nations inquiry has concluded for the first time that Israel has committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. And that's from CNN. So within the context of all the other news, you have the United Nations gathering right now. And we're basically at the other end of a lot of the General Assembly votes that were made where, the United Nations and the mass majority of the countries in the world decided to do something about Israel and Palestine. These different actions that were voted on and approved were vetoed by us, right? So this has gone on for the last year plus, and a lot of these resolutions have a time scale that runs out now, basically here at this General Assembly meeting. The official General Assembly meeting is going to take place in 2 days here, the 23rd and 24th. This is a big week, man. This is a big week in a lot of ways, man. It's a big week in a lot of ways. So before this General Assembly meeting, where likely you're going to have the mass majority of UN states are going to probably come out against Israel and try to do something to work around the veto. That's what it looks like. The discussions in the UN right now are kind of revolving around the fact that Israel has failed to do anything, revolving around the fact that Israel ignores the facts and reality. In the press conference and the multiple pressers given by this independent body, the independent investigators were appointed by the Human Rights Council of the UN, okay? And they found that Israel's actions constituted a genocide in Gaza. The UN Commission of Inquiry, right? So watching these press conferences from these UN independent committee members. There's an Australian guy. I don't know if the woman's Malaysian, but there's a darker skinned older woman who's Pele, or I forget her name, but she's freaking awesome. And they've been holding a few different press conferences on the issue. You know, one of the things that's striking is, like I said, the discussion that's happening in the UN is basically just calling Israel out for how they're just ignoring reality. They're saying, hey, like, we're not going to let you forget, or we're not going to allow you to ignore the fact that we, as in the whole rest of the world, are standing here watching this genocide. We will remain steadfast in making sure that this is prosecuted to the fullest extent, and you're not hiding this from anyone. You know, the committee members who investigated and declared this genocide, they were fed the response, the Israeli response, by an AP reporter, right? And the Israeli response basically, par for the course for them, but it basically denied the committee's work. So this is the official United Nations committee body. These people are as official and reputable as it gets. And Israel, what do they say about this? They say, well, what they're saying is BS. And the three members that were the main members that are speaking out from this committee findings and reporting the committee findings are Hamas plans, right? So Israel says these are long time known Hamas members that have infiltrated international proceedings and the UN body itself, and are basically committing acts of propaganda against the Israeli state, which has the right to defend itself, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, the AP reporter, when he posed that response to the Australian gentleman on the committee, the Australian guy was like, dude, they're not credible anymore. They don't acknowledge any facts. No one takes them seriously, and you shouldn't either. And that's where it's come to. Americans, this has progressed so far that before many of you even recognize it as a truth, the entire rest of the world is already laughing at Israel for how ridiculous, how absurd and disgusting and depraved they are, and in their handling and committing of these atrocities. But greater than the atrocities themselves, the rest of the world is hip to the fact that they are just lying through their teeth, and this is a matter of practice for them. This is the situation. This is the important thing right now, is you have the world is amassing, ready to do something. Literally, the governments of the world are forming in the UN, trying to handle this legally against the United States and Israel, okay? You have the citizens of the world sailing in the largest ever flotilla, about to break the siege Israel doesn't know what to do. Trust that and how they're going to handle this. This is about to be a PR nightmare for the Jews, okay? Aside from the citizens of the world and the governments of the world siding for Palestine, you have a list of about 20 countries, I believe, that have, and these are some major big state players: Spain, Ireland, Malaysia, like Libya, Morocco, a big number of states, Algeria, Pakistan. So you have this group of states that have thrown their support, behind the flotilla. So as this flotilla is approaching the Gaza shore, and right now it's kind of like, I think it's getting close to off Sicily, Malta. I think it's coming along South Adriatic and the Greek islands. But it's approaching, it's making its approach. And as it's doing so, you have this group of countries come out and say, hey, if you touch that flotilla, we're going to defend them. What they're doing is legal, and it's true. Everything that the flotilla is trying to accomplish and the way that they're doing it is all legal and by the books. And what Israel is doing with either their blockade on Gaza and the citizens of Palestine, or with the supposed piracy that they'll likely intercept these vessels with, it's all illegal. So you have this huge group of countries coming out in support of the flotilla. And with Pakistan, you basically have nuclear deterred flotilla here. You have a nuclear protected flotilla. I mean, this is amazing, right? This is going to be a huge, huge, huge PR nightmare for Israel. So the world is mounting in support of Palestine, trying to do what they can. And what do we have from the American and Jewish side is you have continued propaganda, continuing to lie and deny. Trump going back to Bibi's, original press release on the issue here, his list of lies that he has been spewing since October 7th. 2023, to see Trump flip to those recently and his visit to the UK is just disgusting. We should not be accepting those lies in America. We need to be smarter than that, America. We need to speak up for the truth and not allow our president to co-sign and defend a genocide like that. Shame on Donald Trump. Shame on any AIPAC bought and paid for American politician, and shame on all you Americans that are sitting on your hands right now, not willing to speak up or do anything about these people terrorized by our government. So that's the general attitude right now. That's the overarching vibe as we approach these big UN meetings coming up this week. I think this could be it, man. I think this could be it. I'm calling for increased pressure from everybody. Everybody do something extra that you haven't been doing. Leave an extra comment. Contact somebody. Give support to somebody extra. Share my work. Share someone else's work. Organize. I'm hoping to be able to make it to New York this week and cover some things live from the ground in New York. So God willing, I'll be there. But that's the overall situation, man. Both sides remain the same, and we're headed towards the unstoppable object and the immovable force or whatever colliding. Something's got to give. And in the middle of all this are innocent Palestinian men, women, and children. And Palestinians as a people are being crucified for the sake of all of us. Right now, they're up on that cross, hammered in, wondering if we're going to step in to save them. While us here in America can be fed the same old BS lies that the rest of the world already knows to be lies, the beheading of babies and all the October 7th BS, right? Trump can cop to that at any second, and somehow that can get played on our news networks and fed to us as legitimate information. It's crazy. And I really believe that a bunch of people out there believe that. Most of them are boomers. You know, the boomer right in America is like so lost and so unwilling to see the truth. They don't want to see the truth. I mean, it's sad. I think that's a whole other issue, and there's a complex thing surrounding that. I think by and large they've been lied to and fooled en masse, and they just don't have many among them that have a spine, that are willing to see things for what it is and try to like stand up and say we were wrong. They're really they're a sad bunch in the sense that like they can't even stand up for themselves, right? It's crazy. I would have never ever thought I would see an entire, our population in mass acting like this. I don't think that their parents would have dealt with this. I really don't. I think if my father's parents were alive, they wouldn't be accepting these lies. I really believe that. So I think the boomer generation, by and large, was preyed upon, and they're so mind-fucked and defeated at this moment, many of them having willingly basically killed themselves by taking the experiment. They can't even admit to themselves that went down the way it did. So how are they going to speak up for another person's life when they can't even speak up for their own? That's the defeated state of America, in truth. And then, right along with that, all the censorship that happened during COVID is coming through even stronger right now with the Israeli thing. It's crazy, and no one cares. No one's saying anything. So